When I think about who I am, not based on what anyone has said, but based on who I really believe I am, I would describe myself as someone who is so in love. I'm just in love. That's who I am. Like, I'm an in love person. I'm in love with my life. So, I'm in love with my life and I'm in love with God because, like, I've seen Him bless me on two sides of my life. So, in terms of being financially comfortable and just, for example, being able to get Uber Eats whenever I want and sleeping on my own bed and having things like that and having my own bathroom, because like those things were nice. So and like buying clothes when I feel like it. And now, of course, it wasn't every single day of every single month every single day of every single week of every single month that I was getting Uber Eats and buying clothes and just buying things that I want. But definitely more often than not, I was shopping for like food and clothes or health stuff. And not excessively. I was building myself up because I was revamping my life when I became a Christian in 2022, because I just wanted to. Like, I got a whole brand new wardrobe and everything. And in 2021, I got a new bed and all these things, like I got a new washing machine, a new couch, like just a lot of stuff, like a lot of things. And I kept building up and so now, of course, I've given most of those things away as gifts, and some things I sold because I moved around a couple of times. So I used, like, for example, I sold my washing machine one time so that I could help pay towards the moving costs to move my stuff from one apartment to the next. So it was part of upgrading. So I didn't mind losing. It wasn't a loss, but I didn't mind selling the washing machine if it meant, okay, I'm paying towards my moving costs. So I don't have a lot of those things now. And I don't think that we should always just like hold on to everything that, like, all our material objects. I do definitely think that it's nice. It's so nice to give it away and share it. And of course, I'm not talking about giving away all your stuff to the point where you literally are left with a plastic bag and that's all your stuff, and you had like a whole apartment full of things. Unless God, you definitely know God told you to do that, and like He was going to replace your stuff like immediately. Look, those kind of decisions really take to God. Because I definitely know that God does not want you to be naked to give your stuff away, to share your things. You must go naked to share your stuff is not what God is going to want you to do. But so I'm not saying you need to be excessively generous if it means that you're depleting yourself, because you're being unfaithful to yourself, because then you're not providing for yourself completely. I do think there's a limit with that type of stuff, because I've made that mistake where I've been excessively generous, and I realized, like, I looked back and it was like, was I really generous in my heart? Because I regretted it later. So, and again, that didn't happen a lot. That has only really happened like a couple of times in my life, when you were just too hasty to do something for someone because you wanted to be nice. Even if they didn't ask you to do it, like, you just thought, like, okay, this is, I'm talking to God as much as I can. Like, not as much as I can, but, like, as much as I want, which is almost, like, as much as I breathe. So this must be God, you know, because we talk all the time. So of course, I was wrong. Not every thought is from him. Duh. So I digress slightly, but still on topic. I am talking about being generous and stuff. So of course I don't have all those things now, and I still have stuff, but the point is, when I said all those things that I had, it was a fresh start from 2021 up until 2024. Like, most of the stuff that I had, 90% of the stuff, it was brand new. I just didn't want to carry on stuff from prior to that. I wanted fresh clothes. I didn't want to wear crop tops anymore. I didn't want to wear dresses that were too short, and I liked to wear clothes more often than not that was pretty much appropriate for going to the beach, and I wasn't going to the beach while I was wearing those clothes. So basically it was like just not wearing a lot of clothes. And it's not because I didn't have clothes, but it was more so because the material was so little. I mean, the crop tops, they were, you might as well just have called them bras. So I needed to revamp my wardrobe. I felt I was spending more time with God every day, and it was not to say that, oh my gosh, I don't want to appreciate my body and I'm dressed in like black bags and stuff. And I don't always dress up super fancy or anything, but I do want to look nice. But I don't wear certain clothes anymore that I used to wear. Although I will say that my wardrobe really, really started changing in 2022, because I was still doing a bunch of shopping for crop tops and like leggings and all that stuff. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with those items. I just feel like there's a time and a place for sure. Like, you won't see me wearing a crop top to church, for example. But I'm also no longer going to be wearing crop tops just like anywhere that's not home anymore, or like the gym, because I can't believe I used to be so comfortable being so undressed with clothes on, it was so terrible, my word. Like, looking back, and I mean, I felt so good. I felt confident in it. But I will say, I mean, the short skirts, they were tight. They were super tight and short, but not showing like butt cheeks. So it wasn't like that short. And I wouldn't show my underwear or anything, of course. I did have some modesty. But, like, I was uncomfortable still. I mean, a lot of the times I was cold. I was cold so much. So I would be so tense, and it's almost like you would think I was more stuck up than I already am. So it's like, no, it's just I'm really cold, and like my muscles are starting to get sore. So that was the mood. That was how I used to dress. Not all the time, of course. I mean, of course, when it came to winter, you wouldn't see me wearing crop tops. I would wear other things. But crop tops, I really loved wearing them. And that's just like one example. I'd make an example of crop tops again. I'm not saying there's something wrong with crop tops. I just feel like there's a way that they should be worn. For a lady, this is my channel again. That I have to throw in that defense mechanism. I have to throw in that defense mechanism. It's more of a reminder to myself, because I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to be so nice. I don't want to offend anyone. But it's like, you also know it's true though, that like, don't you want to be warm? Or at least just not cold? Don't you want to be comfortable? And I'm not saying you want to be dressed sloppily and lame and all that kind of stuff. And, you can no longer have expensive taste. I am, however, saying, don't you want to be comfortable, though, in your outfit? Like, when you have to sit down in your tight skirt that is, like, super short, And it's like you have to sit like I'm literally putting my hands are in between my legs right now so that my underwear doesn't show. I mean, I'm not wearing a short skirt, I'm wearing tracksuit pants, but I'm making a demonstration. If you can imagine in your head, like your hand is in between your legs, like, but your legs are closed, and just imagine that your hand is trying to cover like your underwear showing because your skirt is short. And you know, like these type of skirts, when you sit down, it's inevitable that they're going to do that. And again, I'm not saying you can't wear those type of skirts or you can't wear something that's figure fitting, because I do think figure fitting clothes are really nice as well. I'm just saying, when it's like super tight, I know that you know, and we both know, and everyone knows, and we all know that it's super uncomfortable. Like, I'm not saying when you're looking at the person, like you might not look uncomfortable. You might not look uncomfortable. I'm not saying that that's what people are thinking when they're looking at you, but I'm just saying in your experience, I'll talk on your behalf. In your experience, it is uncomfortable. You have to admit at least some of the way. If not 100% uncomfortable, it's got to be a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, you could even be uncomfortable and you're dressed modestly. And I'm talking about my opinion of modestly, like where in terms of your underwear is not showing when you are wearing clothes, but your underwear, like, I understand they will definitely be showing when your pants are off. But if you're wearing pants and your underwear is still showing, it's like, maybe, like, are you wearing pants, or is it okay? So anyway, yeah, so that wasn't actually the point of this, me talking all of this stuff. I just had to bring up my old way of dressing. That there's a time and a place for things, you know. Yeah, so, and again, like, I'm at a place in my life again, and it's exciting, but it's a bit different this time for a variety of reasons, where I'm going through another wardrobe revamp. Like, it's not currently in my physical hands right now, but it's in the works. It's on the way. And I mean, I already have it, bottom line. So it's just the original reason for me, and it's still the point of this topic, is I was on both sides of where I could just buy whatever I want, and not every single day, and not necessarily all the brands that I like. Like, I haven't bought every single brand that I like just yet. I mean, I haven't gotten to that place in my life financially to buy certain brands. I mean, for example, I've not bought Hermes yet. Hermes, however you pronounce it. I think it's Hermes. Honestly, I'm going to say Hermes because I like how it sounds when I say it. But if it's totally wrong, of course, I'll adjust. So, I've not bought that yet. But I, for the most part, bought stuff that I really like and not settled. And okay, no, I've not settled, and that part is not for the most part. But I mean, for the most part, I have bought most of the stuff I like. I mean, I like Nike. Like Nike is a very good brand, and even when I can buy whatever I want, whenever I want, at any day of the week for any amount, I'm still gonna like Nike. So, but now also being on the other side where it's like, okay, I can't get Uber Eats whenever I want, like every other day or every day. Or, okay, Take A Lot comes to my house a couple of times a week, and Superfluous a couple of times a week. Like, that hasn't been happening for the past couple of months, like for 7 months. And I mean, they've come a little bit, you know, here and there, but definitely not when I was full-time employed at all. And I know this is just a temporary season of my life, and I'm not saying that it's one that, oh my God, I was dying to go through. Oh my word, it's not one that I was dying to go through. And of course, it is how I grew up. So it's like, I'm not dying to go through it again. And I know it's just super temporary. And yeah, like, it's just a matter of time before. Okay, let me not say too much, because there are plans in the way, and I realize that the more I talk, I actually just end up just saying exactly what's on my mind, and I don't want to give too much away just like that, also for the sake of just keeping this topic kind of like 2 or 3 topics in one podcast and not talking about 100 things in one podcast, because that's not what I'm trying to do in this one. I am mostly just I'm still trying to lay the foundation of my point, is being on both sides of getting what I want. Of course, again, like I said, not having bought Hermes yet, and not to say that that's what I want, Hermes. It's just I'm making a grandiose example because that's a really high price tag, so it's a good example to make. And then also being on the side of not being able to get what I want all the time. But now here's the point. 15 minutes in, 16 minutes in, is, oh my gosh, your nails look so cute.
Yeah.
So that's my cousin or niece. Honestly, at this point, I don't know what she is, but she is the love of my life, if I could summarize. And yeah, so she was showing me her nails. Anyway, so there's pegs on her nails, if you must know. And so through both of those types of living situations, and I'm talking about from the time where I gave my life to Christ. Now I'm not talking about my childhood anymore. I'm just talking about from 2021 onwards. Although I gave my life to Christ officially, like it was where I was aware, I was fully aware in my human form, in my human nature, my human understanding, that I definitely want to live for Jesus every single day. And of course I know that every day I'm working on myself, and I'm aware of things that I'd like to improve and change, and also things that I want to keep doing. But so being on both sides of financially, I can definitely say that God has been faithful on both of those sides. Gosh, okay, wow. Actually, it was 17 minutes and 26 seconds in. That's the point. That's what I wanted to say. Is that God has been faithful to me on both sides. And now he was faithful to me before I was aware that he was faithful. That doesn't change the truth. But I am talking about from 2021 onwards. And no, actually 2022. No, 2020. Honestly, post-COVID. How about that? Oh my gosh. Post-COVID. That's better. That's a better way, because I'm going to get hung up on trying to get the dates exactly right. And yeah, he's been faithful on both sides. So just because I saw for myself his faithfulness and that I could trust him, I do feel like people should experience for themselves that they can trust God, because I have also done that thing where I was like, okay, I'm going to live through someone else's faith. Like Joyce Meyer, for example, she quit her job. She did all of it. So I guess that must be my testimony. We have the same testimony. That's going to be me. I'm also going to be doing exactly what Joyce Meyer did. And I'm using Joyce Meyer as an example. I don't care how anyone feels about her, whether they love her, whether they don't. I'm just using her as an example. I can use anyone as an example. And personally, I have been blessed by Joyce Meyer's teachings in terms of being, for example, in terms of not shouting at your husband. And not that I've been married before, not yet, but I mean, she has given me she's helped me embrace being a woman. And so I definitely have gained so much from her. So that was my experience. And honestly, like, not everyone is going to have the same experience with every single preacher or teacher or this and that. So now I think a lot of people will say that, oh, okay, some people, they teach prosperity gospel and it's bad. And And it's so bad. Like, don't talk about prosperity gospel. It's terrible. Oh my gosh. Like, let's just talk about suffering and all that stuff, and just brush over the fact that God spoke about prospering us and not harming us. But anyway, it's okay. I'm not trying to like say who you should listen to and who you shouldn't listen to. There's something we can learn from anyone, good or bad. Yeah, so back to the main point is that God has been faithful to me in every season of my life. I was only just aware a couple of years ago though. But I think it's way better to be aware, like consciously aware, because it makes life so much less stressful. Because I would only be talking like this and only be feeling this mood when I had money on me. Any other day of the month, I was not in this mood. And okay, there were times where I did run out and I was fully employed, and I was like, okay, all my bills are covered for the month and all that. So it's like, oh my goodness, I am chilly right now. Let me go stand in the sun. I was like, why is my mood changing? It's not spiritual. I just need sunlight. Okay, so yeah, oof. No, the spot's not good. I'd rather be cold. Okay, so yes, God is faithful. And then, okay, I just kind of, what was I saying again? Because I was moving around and I got distracted. Yeah. So yeah, I only just became aware of his faithfulness a couple of years back, and I think it's way better to be tangibly or just aware in whatever way you can of his faithfulness, and not just saying, yeah, totally, God is faithful all the time. Oh my God, God is faithful, and like not believing it and not feeling it. You're just saying it. It's way better to be on the side of actually believing it, because when it comes to those times that is not God's will and you experience it in your life, like you make a mistake, and if you don't know that God is faithful and you don't really believe it, your season is going to be harder than it needs to be. And that season, it could be for an hour. I mean, season, that's a big word, that could really stress people out. I could see that. But rather just say that whatever it is, it could be made way more stressful than, gosh, it's cold. I need a hug. And yeah, so I mean, basically, gosh, I've definitely run out of resources, if I could just say it. And if God's resources are unlimited, then it's like, did I ever really run out? It's just like my mindset, of course. And yeah, so again, I did this thing where I thought, let me just open up my voice memos and just talk and see what happens. And hopefully I'll have like a really well put together, structured pod. But I am just going to stop it here because I feel like I did make the point where I wanted to say that. Okay, no, I'd made the point, but I definitely feel like there's more to say. Because it's like, yeah, okay, cool, God has been faithful when I was broken, when I wasn't. Woohoo, great. How does that help me? Like whoever's listening, like how does that help you? Well, maybe it doesn't, but it definitely blesses me to know that, because, oh yeah, okay, now I remember my point. My second point, because I made my first one, is that, okay, again, I have no notes. I haven't got anything. This is an unstructured, I am just trying to, this is the kind of theme that I want. I want this to be naturally, I don't want to have thought, okay, what am I going to talk about in today's podcast? Like, I just want it to flow. Maybe sometimes I do want to prepare beforehand, but I want to just practice unprepared speech. So, yeah, this is one of those things. This is an unprepared speech practice at the same time. So I really appreciate your grace. Thank you so much. Okay, so back to the thing is, yeah, like being aware of God's faithfulness makes every single day just so great. Because now let me talk about the side of where I was not aware of God's faithfulness, and I had the money, the number of money that I wanted in the bank account. Like, I was like, this is the amount of money I want. Like, I'm set, I'm good. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Wow. You know, like, where you feel that feeling. And I know I didn't sound super enthusiastic when I said that, but just, you know, when you see in like your salary come in, for example, and you know that you worked overtime and you had like a whole package as well that you were waiting for to come in for a couple of months, and while you were waiting for that package, your regular paychecks came in from, or your stream of income, it came in, but then your overtime comes in this month with your on top of your paycheck and that package you were waiting for. That feeling, you know, it's like when you see that money in message come up and the amount, and it's also, and then on top of that, it's way more than you thought it was. That feeling. So if you're not aware of God's faithfulness in that feeling, like that feeling of appreciating that money that you worked for, all your hard labor, it's just, you mean you worked all this time for what you really wanted, and you were like, I'm going to be set. When I have this money, I'm going to be set. I won't be stressed. I'm going to have a great day. But then the money comes in, it's all great, and you have all that feeling. It seems like you never had problems in your life when you see the money in notification. But then a couple minutes go by and someone irritates you and you forget all about that notification, even though it's way more money than you thought it was. And you worked for it, so you know that it's earned to you. Like, it's, I mean, okay, even if it was a gift, let's just say God randomly dropped money in your bank account, like, you should still feel like, wow, okay, I deserve this, great, because it's a gift from God, and He wants to give it to you. And if it's from God, God doesn't ever do the wrong thing, so it is just, He's justified to give you gifts. But, oh my gosh. So, okay, like then you're gonna completely forget. You're gonna forget immediately. Like, you're gonna forget that, wow, you just had this great harvest, you just reaped this awesome harvest, but now someone said something, and you know, because you're just not being aware of God's faithfulness, and it's like you don't enjoy and appreciate that money in anymore. You don't appreciate it. So it's like you're more focused on the problem now of this person who irritated you. Or even, let's just say a worse example, like, you know, like one of your other bank accounts, for example, I'm making another example. One of your other bank accounts, like, you can't use the money in the bank account for some reason. Like, it's just, you're not able to, there's money there, but for some reason you can't use it. You know, that will trip a lot of people up, because it's like, gosh, I wanted to use this, I had plans. And it can throw their whole day off, and you're just not focusing on God's faithfulness or how good He's been to you and how much He loves you. The problem is going to seem way worse than it really is. And what about the money in notification that you just got? Like, weren't you just celebrating? Like, bro, you were so happy 5 minutes ago, and now it's like you're miserable, dude. Like, what happened? And that's something that I used to struggle with a little bit, because I mean, not like I know why, and the only reason why is because I would let like little things get to me, and I would sometimes just get off track and just forget, gosh, like, this is what I prayed for, this is everything I wanted, this is, you know, whether that's Bible school, whether that's having those paychecks that I was talking about, or, you know, for example, getting a MacBook for the first time. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal to a lot of people, but it definitely is a big deal to me. And my first one, it was rose gold. So basically it was pink. So, I mean, that's a dream. Like, that's like getting a Barbie doll as a little girl, you know. It feels really amazing, except this Barbie doll has like so many features. For example, I can write books on it, I can upload videos on YouTube, I can create stuff, I can do so many things with this MacBook. So it's like an adult version of of a Barbie doll, of getting a Barbie doll, even though I'm the one who paid for it. But I still see it as blessings from God. And so when you look at it that way, it's like when you just remember that you've gotten a lot of the things that you prayed for. And I'm calling myself out as well. Like, I'm actually mainly calling myself out, but I am talking to whoever is listening. And it's like when you get what you pray for and then you forget about it. You forget that, gosh, like, it's the dream. This is what I wanted. But just because of some minor inconvenience. Okay, let me make another example. Like your checkers order, your 60/60, because I know a lot of people, well, maybe I actually don't know a lot of people, but for me, like, my main thing is I would use checkers to deliver to my place when I was staying on my own. That was just how I would do shopping mostly. It was just more convenient because I wanted to use the gas money to actually go out for stuff that I found interesting, like going to the beach or going to church or going to see my friends or going to have ice cream and do that, but not to go shopping for stuff that I need for the house. So I was like, I'm just gonna, I did also, that was one of the reasons. Not that I was always shopping at Checkers only. I mean, there's other places, and then sometimes I would go and shop physically in person. I just thought, for those big grocery purchases, I just enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the shopping experience as well, of just shopping on my app and taking more time to get what I really want and just like browse through the product list and see, gosh, like almond milk, okay, I can take my time with looking at the flavors. And I know I can do that when I shop in like physically in a grocery store, but I mean, I'm just being transparent about my lifestyle since COVID. And so let me make another example. So let's say that Checkers order, like there's something that's out of stock and you really wanted it. Like, are you really going to let that get to you and ruin your whole day? It was out of stock, so now you have a reason to be angry? I mean, that is such a minor... Is that even a problem? Like, you can just get it another time. It's just out of stock. It's like, chill. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm not going to be the one to say it like, oh my gosh, there's people with other problems, blah, blah, blah. But it's like people with... Even people with bigger problems than me complain about the same things I'm talking about. I mean, people complain about gas prices. Oh my god, the fuel's gone up again. And it's like, okay, cool. Is that really what life is? It's just talking about how expensive stuff is. And, it's easy to do that when we forget that, okay, God is faithful. And I mean, if God is faithful, then he's not a liar. And he's not a liar. And so one of the things that he said, which he obviously is not lying about because he's faithful, is that he'll prosper you. I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. And that's honestly, like, I have been... Oops, look, that's not mine. So I'm outside. Look, it's not what you think. I am outside in the yard. I'm not going to explain myself. So, you could be bedridden with cancer and you'll complain about gas prices. You could have so much money and you'll complain about gas prices. It's a poverty mindset. You don't have to complain about that. Like, seriously, that's where your energy is just going. I could spend the rest of my days talking about how it really is so lame that I don't have a full-time job right now. I mean, it doesn't feel like me. It feels like I'm having an out-of-body experience, and then I can talk about that. I mean, seriously, that's how it's felt a lot of the time, where it's like, is this real? Like, this has to be a dream. I'm living out a nightmare. I'm actually in the real life horror movie. And then I can start saying all of this, and I can start feeding on that, and I can start indulging in that every day and meditating on that and saying all those words, and then that becomes my reality because I believe it about myself. So that's the stuff that I start looking for. I start looking out for problems. I start looking out for reasons why my life sucks so bad, and I'm like, that's what anyone can do, no matter how much money you can have. And I can confidently say that that's true because I've been on both sides. And again, I'm not saying both sides in terms of I was super rich. I was like I was a millionaire, bro. I was loaded in cash. But I mean, compared to now, you could say that. No, I was well off. I was comfortable. But I mean, you could be miserable on both sides if you let it. And so I'm not going to be just say a one-liner and leave it at, oh, money doesn't buy happiness. No, it can definitely make things much better, for sure. But it's like your mindset is what you need to be focusing on. Are you going to be miserable and dude, the price went up. Oh, wow. Oh my God. You just ordered pizza. Bro, like, that pizza was 300 rand. Enjoy your pizza. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that was the point. God is faithful, and if you focus on that, it's more easier to see the sky in a different way. I mean, literally, it's more easier to see the sky. And if you start appreciating the sky, I mean, just think about how much other stuff you could start appreciating. And it changes how you think. It changes how you think. You don't think like a broke person, even if you don't have the money on you. And I used to think that, no, this mindset is because I had it on me. Actually, no, I don't think that's all the way true. Because I remember thinking like this shortly before my life was completely transformed once again. So yeah, my breakthrough it's here. No, but I mean, you could live like this every day, though. I mean, things are not everything is going my way right now. I'm thinking I've got a couple of bills, and when I say bills, I'm not talking 30 rand, 100 rand, 200 rand. I'm talking a couple K bills that are due like a couple days ago. And I feel so rest assured, not just because I'm sitting like, oh, I'm just going to do nothing, like, God will sort it out. I have not seen that prosper, because then why do townships exist? And like, people are still hanging out on the streets, like, and at this point it's like, damn, like, people want to be here. Listen, if I'm lying, tell me, and I'll be like, where? So yeah, just all I'm saying is focus on God's faithfulness, and it will be easier. And I'm not saying that it's gonna be you're gonna get it right all the time. That's what the grace part is for. Like, gosh, sometimes I don't handle situations perfectly all the time. Trust me or don't. It's okay. I mean, that's what Kadijah means. So yeah. Okay, cool. I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, there will definitely be more. Maybe there will be a part 2 of this, or part 3 or 4, 500. But I won't label it this way, because I could talk about this the whole day, okay? So yeah, ciao. God bless you.